welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thanks for tuning in, as usual. So we are talking about how the Sixers beat the Brooklyn Nets, but was it really a monumental game because the Nets were pretty depleted? We're also
to see how happy we are on our pre-games. We be laughing and talking. Don't you see the chemistry on the screen?
I know, and we're also McDonald's colors today, Jackie, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but at least we complement each other.
Right. I'm going to go with Cavs colors because I do not want to promote McDonald's in any way. I'm going with Cavs colors.
Okay. Honestly, I should have thought of that too, but I just might. Whenever I see red and yellow, my mind immediately goes to McDonald's. Right. I don't know why. Probably just because they've done that intentionally. They've marketed in such a way that that's what you think of immediately. But yes, we are representing the Cavs today for some reason, I guess. Because LeBron played there at one point.
Exactly.
Jackie, how are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. We've got a lot to talk about. I know we said we're going to, yesterday I said we would need to visit this Nets and 76ers game. Later on in the post-up, I'm going to be agreeing with somebody that gets on my nerves. So yeah, we'll talk more about that throughout the day, but I can't wait to talk about that.
Is it Shaq?
Oh, Shaq? No, we do have Shaq in the post-up. Nothing crazy. He didn't say or do anything stupid, but I'm on Team Shaq again though with this one. So, what is that like? Wow. That's gonna be like 3 or 4 in a row now.
I know, Jackie. I'm shocked by this because, normally you are just always the first one to call Shaq out, but lately he's been speaking some true things for you, and maybe you're a new Shaq fan.
No. Let's not get crazy. It's just he's not been out of pocket lately, but no, not a Shaq fan.
All right, well, let's jump into this first update. So I did want to let you guys know that LaMarcus Aldridge announced his retirement, and he's decided to put his health and his family first. So today, he released a statement saying that he was retiring from the NBA, and he cited his irregular heartbeat as a reason. He said, quote, "For 15 years, I've put basketball first, and now it's time to put my health and my family first." He said, "I'm thankful for everything this game has given me, the great memories, including all the ups and downs and the friendships I've made and will keep with me forever." So this is, a bit of a surprising moment here. Jackie, what's your reaction to this news?
I'm loving his statement, everything he said, and I'm glad he really kind of went into detail about how he was afraid and what happened, and how, at the end of a game, he had an irregular heartbeat to start that game, but at the end of the game, it had gotten extremely worse, and then he went to the hospital, and just, having that feeling of complete terror because something's wrong with your heart, and him being open and honest about that, I think that was kind of needed, because when I first saw this headline, I was like, what the hell? I was mad because, I hadn't read the body of the story and why. All I saw was, LaMarcus Aldridge retires, and that I was like, why? You could have retired before you got to Brooklyn. So I was a little bit upset about that. So him going into detail about it, and then me understanding how competitive he is as an athlete, and knowing that he knew this for sure. I don't think that I'm wrong in saying that. He knew that this heart issue was an issue, which I think is why he's been so light in Brooklyn. But a competitor always wants to compete. We've talked about that time and time again, that I would bet my last dollar that at least 85%, if not even more, these athletes would rather go on the court than any other way, because that's just who they are in their hearts. So I appreciate him understanding that it's a game and it's not worth it. And at some point, if you do have these irregular heartbeats, we're not talking about, you have a little twitch in your elbow. This is your heart we're talking about. You can't just go and get another one. It's not like that. So I'm really proud of him for, putting his health first, and instead of continuing to play and then this potentially get worse, because then we all would have felt terrible if we find out, 2 years from now, that if he had stopped playing sooner, he would be in much better health. So, you only have, I love what he said at the end of his quote, or it was a long statement that he put out. And he said, you never know when something is going to come to an end. So make sure you enjoy it while you can. And he said that he's done that. So that was the biggest point in his statement. And I appreciate that. And, I wish him the best. Like I said, I was initially like, what the heck? I was mad because I just felt like with all we've talked about and all the pieces that the Nets have really got to be the super team we're talking about. He was one of them. And if he knew he was going to leave, I felt like he should have let us know that earlier. But again, it's one of those situations where you hope it'll pass. And then sometimes your body has a way of telling you, like, look, you're going to listen one way or another. So I'm glad he decided to listen now.
I'm glad too. It would have been really terrible if he ignored what he was experiencing and continued playing through that and ended up worse off in the end. And I think we've seen a lot of athletes do that, where they try to come back from an injury too quickly, or they play through an injury and then it just ends up hurting them even more in the long run. So I think that LaMarcus made the right call here. Also, the team's GM, Sean Marks, fully supports LaMarcus's decision, and he said, "We know this was not an easy decision for him, but after careful consideration and consultation with medical experts, he made the best decision for him, his family, and for his life after basketball." So I'm glad to know that he also has the support of the team, and it's sad to see him go, but when somebody is prioritizing their health and well-being, I think the only thing that we can feel is gratitude and optimism as to what's to come in the future for him. So that's great. Let's get into this Sixers versus Nets game. So the Sixers are really just doubling down. They're in it to win it right now. They took over that first place spot in the Eastern Conference with their win over the Brooklyn Nets. The final score was 123-117. Joel Embiid put up 39 points. Tobias Harris put up 26. And then Kyrie Irving recorded a team high of 37 points and 9 assists, but not in the game was KD. James Harden was out with his hamstring strain. LaMarcus was out dealing with what he was going through. Blake Griffin was also nursing an injury. So the Nets were seriously depleted, but I don't think that takes away from the performance that the Sixers put on, because they looked good. But with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden out, does this still count as a monumental win for the Sixers? Jackie, what do you have to say about that?
I have to say no, just because they almost blew a lead. I don't remember how I think it was like a 20-point lead that they almost blew, and so and they had no answer for Kyrie. Kyrie was out there just doing whatever he wanted to do. Now defensively, they did win that battle, in my opinion. Danny Green, I have to shout him out. Y'all know I never shout out Danny Green, but Danny Green was out there, proving that his defensive prowess and making 3-point shots that he would not make with the Lakers, but I digress. But he was out there doing his thing. And as a team, I think the 76ers looked really, really good. So you really have to kind of look at that game and say, okay, Joel had an amazing night. They had no answer for Joel. The Nets didn't, and the Sixers didn't have an answer for Kyrie. It didn't work out that they actually could get over that hump. But if you have James Harden in there and Kyrie, I don't know if you ever need James Harden, Kyrie, and KD at the same time. If you do have them at the same time, that's great. But I think if they would have had James Harden in there or KD, then that would have probably put them over the hump. So I don't know if I'm still ready to give the 76ers that nod. It is a good win. Don't get me wrong. The 76ers looked great. Tobias looked great to me. But these are people who are looking great without a full squad. They didn't play against a full squad. And I don't know why KD wasn't playing. I don't know. I did read online, and I think I'll have that later in the post-up, that it was up to, Steve Nash made the decision. Y'all know I don't buy that. You just know I don't buy that, because when you're at KD status, if you want to play, then you play. That's just how that goes. And I think at some point I struggled with this last night when I was watching all the highlights from the game, and I just was like, okay, is this a smart strategic move? Because when you go back and you start watching tapes on teams, especially when you're getting into the playoffs and things of that nature, you want to see a full squad. You want to see how they work together, what pieces do what kind of switches they make, what are they doing. And we just don't have consistent tape on the Nets right now, because we just can't get them to be consistent. So I'm like, is this a strategic move, or is this an ego problem that they're doing over there? Are you trying to make it hard for us to really get tape on you so we can better defend you going into the playoffs? Or y'all being lazy? Is it deep? Why aren't y'all playing? If you're not hurt, why aren't you playing? So I see you in the chat. Palmdale's Adonis. KD's not playing because he's resting. He should have rested the game before. He shouldn't have rested the game. Who they played before? The Mavericks, I think, or something like that. He should have rested that game. And then you play against the Sixers. You play against what's going to come down to the battle of the East. You don't sit this game. You sit the next game. You can sit the game before, but you don't sit this game. Your load management comes on the easy games, the teams that you know aren't really your competition. That's when you rest. You don't rest against your. I don't understand that. It infuriates me when I see teams resting against their direct competition. No, that is your direct competition. You go out there and you play all hands on deck. James Harden's not that guy, so I'm giving, I get that, but everybody else, yeah, it's a bad look because again, now that's the 76ers they get that question mark like, oh, were they really that good because they weren't playing the whole squad. Not many people have played the whole squad. Let's just be honest though. So it's not like they out here just all hands on deck all the time. So it's one of those things where I think the Nets, I don't know what they're doing over there. Again, I think KD could rest on either side of this game, but not this game.
Yeah, I think it's surprising that he sat out this game as well. I understand that they're kind of wanting to rest him and probably have him, energized and healthy and ready to go for the postseason. But this was a pretty crucial Eastern Conference matchup. We've been talking about it since, for a while, but especially since last week and a few weeks before when I think it was Joel made those comments about the Sixers being the team to beat in the East and all of that. So this was definitely the game for him to get up and get out there. Now, do you think if Kyrie had the support of someone like KD or even James Harden that the outcome of this game would have been different? Or do you think the Sixers still could have walked away with the win?
I don't know. And that's the thing. I feel like the Sixers are good, but again, you make adjustments, and this is why I think as fans and people who really watch a lot of basketball, this is why we get irritated with these kinds of situations, because you make adjustments based on who's playing and based on what's working and what's not working. So when you don't have these guys in there, you play to what's in there. And like I said, it became very clear that they needed to kind of shut Kyrie down a little bit. But I just don't know. It's harder to shut all three guys down. And that's why it's such an asset to have all three of these players on the same squad. It's hard to do that. Do I think the 76ers could have done it? I mean, they're a great defensive team, probably, but I don't know. We don't have the consistency. It's not like, again, there's not even a lot of tape on all three of them at the same time. So it's one of those things that I think you're doing not only the 76ers, because obviously as the Nets, you don't care about the 76ers, but as the Nets, there's a huge difference between what you do in practice and what you do in game time. And I know people say practice the way you play. That takes you so far. Game time is entirely different than what you do in practice. And if you are taking off during these big games, it's going to come down to you in the 76ers in the Eastern Conference Final. The Nets don't know what they're going to look like in this situation. So I know we're saying, oh, would the 76ers have won with KD and James Harden in there? Would they have? That's the question, because now would the 76ers have made the necessary adjustments? So it's a disservice on both sides of the ball. The Nets don't know how they're going to look in this situation. They don't even know what kind of adjustments the 76ers would make to all three of them in there because they haven't experienced that. And practice is not a game. It's not a game. And I think I think the Nets are doing themselves a disservice with all these breaks that they're taking. Again, I hear it. We've seen what happens when KD comes back too early. We saw that with the Warriors, and obviously none of us want a repeat of that. But you rest on the games that don't matter. You do not rest on these high competition, direct competition games that are going to come down to the playoffs. I don't get it. I think they're doing themselves a disservice more than we need to worry about what the Sixers are going to look like, because the Sixers show up. They know how to play together. They know how to make switches and moves together. They show up. So this is a Nets problem, not the 76ers problem to me.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're so willingly doing themselves this disservice by not having everybody get out there when they're healthy and able to play, especially for such a pivotal game like the one against the Sixers. So, now the Sixers sit at the top of the Eastern Conference. Of course, that can change any day now, but, the Nets lost that top spot because they didn't have Kyrie on the floor with another star. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about LaShawn McCoy. So we've discussed this. Julian Edelman announced his retirement this week, and social media has actually been kind of battling back and forth whether or not he deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. And LaShawn McCoy was asked about this, and he said, Hall of Fame? No, come on, man. You have 16 weeks to showcase who you are, what you can do each year. The playoffs matter, but a lot of guys don't get a chance to play in the playoffs. I won't discredit him because I think he's a great player. He plays with a lot of heart, a lot of attitude, a lot of passion. I don't want to rain on his parade because he's retiring and he's a hell of a player, but I don't know about Hall of Fame. But when it comes to his own opinion about whether or not he is Hall of Fame bound, LaShawn said, quote, I think I've got a good shot at it. I put my numbers up with any other running backs. In my decade, I was the lead dog. I've got good numbers, touchdowns, yards per carry, all those things, and you add 2 Super Bowls with it. So he is confident that he'll get there. Jackie, do you agree or disagree with LaShawn's thoughts about Julian Edelman and the Hall of Fame?
So I don't disagree with LaShawn. I know I probably get drugged by that, but Julian, although we like him with New England, my guy's never been to a Pro Bowl. Not one. LaShawn has been to 6. So it would be almost insulting if he made it into the Pro Bowl. I mean, yeah, to the Hall of Fame before LaShawn does, because see, here's the thing. I think Julian Edelman was great in the situation that he was in. I just don't have anything else to say outside of that, because we've seen this time and time again with Tom Brady. He makes what would probably be average players on other teams really, really, really good. And so I don't think, again, I agree with LaShawn. I don't think Julian Edelman is a bad player. I don't think that he's not an asset and definitely can function in his role very, very well. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? I think situationally, yes. Because of the situation he was in with New England, he is a situationally probably Hall of Fame bound kind of thing, just because of the squad he was on and the team that he played with. But as an individual player, if I had to pick between Julian Edelman and LaShawn McCoy to put into the Hall of Fame, I'm only taking LaShawn. You 6 Pro Bowls. I don't even know what else to say besides that. That's a name that we know because of the work he did and the holes that he opened up for himself. We know Julian because of Tom Brady. Oh, just to me, this is just kind of a no-brainer. It's just definitely the LaShawn McCoy show for me. So, yeah.
So there's a lot happening in the chat. Somebody said, "Hell no, he doesn't deserve a spot." That was Mighty Warrior Machiavelli. Jeremiah always staying mad. He said he said he's never been to a damn Pro Bowl because he's been in the Super Bowl every effing year. He effing carried Tom Brady, apparently. Tom Brady.
Wait. Nobody carries Tom Brady. What in the hell? A lot of people, one of the reasons why we don't even like the Pro Bowl is because you don't get a lot of players playing in it because they are in the Super Bowl, because there are on elite teams. How do you equate he had no time for the Pro Bowl because he was in the Super Bowl? Either way, guys that are in the Super Bowl don't play in the Pro Bowl, and Julian wasn't even invited. Get your invite in the mail at least if you're that good. You come on, man. Come on, stay mad. If you're gonna be mad, be mad with some facts that make some sense. Good God. Okay, I'm sorry.
And then Aiden says, yes, he does. And then Kevin Pryor says Edelman is not a Hall of Famer, great player, but not Hall of Fame. And he says McCoy is 50-50. So, it seems like people are sort of split down the middle. I think more people are saying that Julian does not deserve a spot in the Hall of Fame. He's not a Hall of Fame player. I guess that ends the conversation there. But also, you guys, before we jump into the post-up, I want to remind you all that tomorrow is Friday, which means it's Fan or Foe Friday. So I forgot to mention that at the top of the show, but we're going to be recording and screenshotting all of the different comments and questions and chats that you leave us today. So make sure you guys do that and say important and valuable things, and we will talk to you about them in Fan or Foe. So that wraps up Need to know news. Jackie takes into the post up.
Yes, I have a feeling we're going to get some mad comments, which we always do. But yes, let's get into the post up because we've got a lot to talk about. Luka's game winner last night. I don't know if you guys saw it. The only reason I saw it is because King James tweeted about it, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But let me just tell you something. When I finally saw the headlines for this morning, it was like, oh, Luka's amazing, buzzer beater, blah, 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 blah. He did have 29 points that helped the Mavericks beat the Grizzlies by 1 point. 2 of them were in this last shot. But this is not amazing. This is a last-ditch effort. This whole thing is ugly. I still love Luka. You know, he's the baby goat to me. But this is ugly. This is not amazing. This is ugly. Take a look.
Get it in. Here's Luka. Gets it away. It's gone. A Doncic.
There was no style. There was no grace. There was just, oh, hell. That's all we saw in that moment. That was not graceful at all. And I think that's what King James was implying by his tweet when he saw this and he tweeted about it. He said, wow, wow, wow. Come on, Luka. You ain't serious, man. Like, you ain't serious. You just damn near fell over and got that shot. I'm going to give it to you because it was amazing. Smart of you to put it up. But that was not like, oh, did you see that clutch moment? That was oh, wow, that went in. Yay for me. That's exactly what that was. But congratulations, Luka. Appreciate you. But after that, I am not a Clippers fan. Watch your mouth in the chat. Are you new here? I'm a LeBron James fan. I go where LeBron goes. So currently, go ahead, Devin.
In the chat, someone said, first of all, they said that I'm a Nets fan, and then they also said that I'm a Sixers fan, and then they also said that me and Devin Booker are siblings. I don't know what kind of parents would name their kids both Devin, but no, Devin Booker is not my sibling. I wouldn't mind if he was, because then I could become part of the Kardashian clan and get invited to all the cool parties, but no, he's not my brother.
And you
Dwight
know,
Howard's my uncle.
There you go. I was gonna say you gotta go by the last name, y'all, not the first name. What? Okay. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. All right, let me jump back into this because after that shot, a lot of Grizzlies fans, and I went on Twitter, there was a lot of them. They were mad at Grayson Allen because he missed the free throws before the final play, and he wasn't playing that good a defense. So Ja Morant went out there and decided, I'm going to defend my teammate. And he said, if you a Grizzly fan and you bashing any of my teammates, go cheer for another team, 100. Boys played their ass off tonight, the reason why we're in the position to win the game. So I appreciate this. I appreciate you, taking time to stand up for your teammates, because that's always a good sign of camaraderie and chemistry when y'all can kind of stand up for one another. That being said, nobody on Twitter seemed to give a damn. They were still mad about it. So this guy says, simple, Grayson Allen owes me $1,000 because he clearly lost some money on that game. That ain't Grayson's fault. When you gambling, it's a risk. It's just a risk. This next one is still living in the past. Now, he does have a history of being a little shady and trying to hurt players. So I want y'all to remember that. He says, Grayson Allen has a history of hurting players intentionally and acting tough. With all those things, he can't get a damn free throw. Yeah, tell him to be humble and a good person first. So again, people were not happy about this. This next person says that Ja defending his teammates is like bashing fans. So you can bash fans, but the fans can't bash the teams. Fans get frustrated like you just did when you posted this. This ain't it. Go Grizzlies. I'm like, okay. And I think I got one more. And this is how I felt, because this was like right after the game. He says, bro, your game just ended 5 minutes ago. How you get your phone and type this out that fast? Like, go take a shower, Ja. It's not that serious. Let the fans be mad. But I get it. That's what we're going to do, Ja. You need to learn not to respond to mad fans, because they happen all the time, including in Philly, where KD, as we have mentioned, did not even play. So why are we chanting KD sucks outside of the fact that you guys think he does, I guess? But you could tell all in KD's face that he is the guy that cares what people think about him, because he's literally on the sidelines like, damn, what'd I do? Take a look.
Shamet who have done it. Embiid hits a pair. 39 points now from Embiid. Lead back up to 5 with a minute remaining.
I don't know if you saw him, but he was all like, what did I do? Boy, who cares? You ain't playing. That might be why they're saying KD sucks, because they wanted to be able to beat the Nets with you on the court. I 100% agree with that if that's why they're chanting that. But, people think that it's no big deal and that Sixers fans need to calm down. I got this one post and said, KD didn't play and y'all almost blew a 21-point lead. Relax. KD thinking like, what did I do? And I think that he's exactly thinking that. That's exactly his thought process. But, I mean, I'm not mad at the 76ers fans for capitalizing on an opportunity to say KD sucks. So, Devin, what do you think about this one? Could you tell that KD really cared that they were yelling this and chanting this? He looked so hurt.
He did look hurt, but even if KD was expressionless, even if he was laughing, we still know KD would have been hurt because he's KD. And he can't let anything roll off, so we don't even have to see his face to know that he's taking it to heart. I don't understand why it was happening when he wasn't even playing, but he was definitely hurt.
Like, damn, man, he has no poker face. I would love to play poker with him, and I don't even know how to play poker, but I bet I could read his whole face and beat him at poker because he just shows it all over his face. So now look, let me go to this next one because I told you there was a time coming in this post up where I was going to have to once again agree with Shaquille O'Neal. This is that time. So NBA on TNT did an interview with Baylor's Dede Richards. And let me set this up for you because what I think happens is Candace Parker flirts with Dede's mom first. And then Shaq was like, oh, no, that's not what we doing. Let me just make it blatant because Candace Parker is kind of subtly, just let me compliment her. And then Shaq is like, let me just shoot my whole shot. So everybody, let me do this Luka clutch shot. Take a look. It's hilarious.
Camera. Yeah. What's up?
Hey, Mom.
This is hey, Mom.
Man, black don't crack. You see that? Just ageless. Mom, ageless.
I got a D-Wade. I got a new website called DamnYourMamaFine.com.
I can't hear y'all in my ear. That's funny.
Dede, we are going to be rooting for you big time. I know that Candace is.
That is hilarious to me because Shaq was saying that with the hopes that Mom could hear, but Dede had her headphones on, so she couldn't hear. But I'm with that shot. Don't take your shot at all times, people. Like you might get shot down, but take that shot. And he's a single man; he can take that shot. So I agree with Shaq on this one. But let me tell you what I also agree with. And again, I never ever really, well, not never ever, because there are a lot of times I do. But Stephen A. is out here and he's 100% right. And let me just let Stephen A. tell you in his own words. Take a listen.
Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons going to be there. Joel Embiid going to be there. But Kevin Durant, one night after dropping 30, suddenly he ain't playing tonight. LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin just got to Brooklyn. All of a sudden, they ain't going to be available tonight. We know James Harden is injured because that brother don't miss games. And, oh, by the way, Kyrie's not on the injured list, so he might be available tonight, but we don't know. Nationally televised game, two top teams in the Eastern Conference, and KD, James Harden, possibly Kyrie is going with Blake and LaMarcus Aldridge joining them. See what I'm saying? See, it's that bull, that BS. So much for looking forward to tonight's game. Win, lose, or draw, half of Brooklyn ain't there. Yep. What sense does it make? What difference does it make? This is the BS that I'm talking about right here, right now. This is that stuff that I'm talking about. And then y'all wonder why I be calling cats out.
Yep. I agree with that. And that's the thing. Again, not only as fans do we want to see the full competition. We don't want to get up here on the Fumble on a Thursday saying, oh, would the 76ers have won if KD was on the floor? Would they have won if Blake had played? Yes, we would make an allowance for James Harden. And even though yesterday we wouldn't have, we would now today we would give LaMarcus a pass because we know, what's happening in his situation. Yesterday, no, we wasn't doing that. But today, now we would. But then we could say, hey, we got the best look at the Nets and the 76ers at the same time. And now we can make an honest prediction or at least some sort of assessment about what we can anticipate in the East going forward. It's just not fair. It's not fair to us as fans. It's not fair to either team. It's just a bad look. If you're able to play, you should play, period. So let me move on to this next one, because this next one we're going to spend some time on this one, especially since y'all seem to be all in your feelings today. Y'all can feel me on this, and we can have a real conversation about it, especially the ladies in the chat. But this is interesting because I've been so excited to head back to Staples Center. I have missed it ever so much. Even just being in the same arena, I don't even care if LeBron's not playing. As long as he's on the sideline and I can wave at him, I'll feel good about it. But there are so many regulations on going back into Staples Center, which we all anticipated. But one in particular just seems like it makes no sense, and it's ridiculous. We're going to get to it. But this first one is basically the Staples Center saying they're thrilled to have people back. They're going to let everyone know about these safety protocols. Cool. I think we all were just so excited and going through these tweets. And then this next one is when all the rules start coming down, and you understand that you have to either be vaccinated or you have to have taken a COVID test fully vaccinated. So it has to be fully vaccinated. You guys know it's 2 weeks after, but you have to present a test that you are negative. Cool. I don't think anybody's got a problem with that one. That one's cool. Let's move on to this next one. And this one irritates me too a little bit, and I'm pro mask, but when you have the mask on, it is harder to kind of talk to somebody. So this one says you have to wear a mask at all times. I'm actually cool with that, but I'm thinking, okay, but you could wear a face shield so at least you guys can talk. Nope. If you wear a face shield, you still have to wear a mask. So, that one's kind of annoying it's just me and my friend when we're the only ones within a couple feet of each other. But cool. If I can get back in Staples Center, I'm with it. I don't have a problem with that one. So let's go on to this next one. This is the one that has people up in arms. Bags and purses of any size, which is ridiculous. I feel like you should at least be able to bring a small bag, but it says including backpacks, clutches, totes, clear bags, and camera bags. Only bring necessary items that fit into your pocket. Wallets without chains/straps are allowed. How you gonna? This just seems like it's very obtuse, because we're women. There are things that we need to carry sometimes, depending on where we're at in the month. We need our items. What if we have kids? Things of that nature. So Twitter lost their mind about it, rightfully so. Boom, right off top. And this is a guy. So I don't know, was there no men in the room when they were planning these rules? He says tampons, insulins, Epis. Like, my God, what a stupid decision. Agreed. What if I have a medical condition? So, the fans kind of went on with it and stayed in this same narrative. Says Staples Center said F women, people with children, and people with medical needs. Again, I can't even help the Staples Center in this one, because what am I going to do? Just wear a whole bunch of pockets? This is what a creative way to announce that the tampon dispenser in your bathrooms will now be fully stocked and complimentary. Okay, so in the bathrooms, are you going to make it full of tampons, EpiPens, diapers? Is that a thing? Because what happens if I have, there's all kinds of situations where you would need a bag if you're caring for yourself or anyone else. So Devin, what do you think especially if it's in a clear bag that you can see anyway, what is the thought process in making any type of bag? And it's not that it's COVID. It's not like there was some sort of terrorist threat. Like, I could almost see if there was some sort of, we just got over a terrorist scare and they just want to make sure nothing extra. This COVID, how does a bag affect you having COVID or not? I don't understand.
I don't understand this either. And this just seems like a ridiculous way to try and control people and prevent them from, being comfortable at a game. I really don't get what this is. Because I've been to concerts where they say it has to be a clear bag. And even that feels kind of annoying, because you don't necessarily want to walk around with a clear purse or a Ziploc bag filled with tampons and, maxi pads, if that's what you choose to wear. So it's a little bit unsettling, but I understand that rule more than this one. What about women with diaper bags that need, they need to put in the diaper cream and the baby powder and the diapers? How are they ever going to handle that kind of situation? So this to me is just a stupid decision that was made just without any sort of thinking, without any sort of thought process behind it. And also, not to mention, I don't know about you, Jackie, but a lot of the clothes that I wear, we don't even have pockets that are big enough to hold a wallet or any pockets at all. My jeans have fake pockets. So what am I supposed to do? where am I going to put it? Tuck everything into my waistband? I've got my keys here, my wallet here, my tampons sticking out. It's just dumb. Apparently baseball has the same rules, but they are allowing a clear bag. So I just think that this is, I don't know. I wish I could understand and be a fly on the wall in the meeting that they had where they were like, so what should we do? How do we prevent COVID? Okay, well, everybody should wear a mask, provide a vaccination card, or get tested. Also, let's not allow anyone to bring anything in except for what can fit in their pockets. I mean, it's just stupid. It doesn't do anything to prevent the spread of COVID.
Not at all. And that whole post about, well, maybe they'll have, feminine hygiene products in the bathrooms and those will be complimentary. I don't know about you, but I'm not using every single feminine hygiene product. There's one that works for me that doesn't cause me any discomfort in any way. You're not about to give me this 99-cent store bootleg tampon. That's not what we doing, because I know that's what it'll be. It's just, and
right.
How do I make this make sense? You know how long you're in that stadium? You need to have that kind of equipment with you. And then what am I going to do? My pants are so tight, I don't even put like, because if I have something in my pocket, I'll put it in my back pocket. But 9 times out of 10, if I sit down, it's going to slide out. So I don't know. This is just putting women specifically, and even my nephew, he has to take insulin sometimes. So he has one of those emergency pins things if he needs it. And then where are we supposed to put that? Just in our pocket where it could potentially be. I see you in the chat that says cargo pants, and I thought about that too. But
I am not wearing cargo pants. I am not wearing cargo pants, and neither should you. Nobody should wear cargo pants. I feel very strongly about this. Absolutely not.
Right.
I want to say our producer just messaged me and was like, maybe they only think men go to sports games, and maybe that is the thought process. Because yes, I guess men could show up wearing giant ass cargo shorts to a game,
right.
But I am not going to do that. I'm heated thinking about that. No.
Yeah. And even if you did convince us to wear cargo pants, what do the pockets look like after we put everything in there? Now we just look like we're walking in a space suit. No.
Stupid.
I'm not a fan of the cargo pants idea at all. So we are going to move on now. I'm mad that you put fanny packs. Okay. That's still a purse, though. That's still considered a purse. So that you wouldn't be able to do that. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. So let's move on to this next one, because this next one, I believe 100%. I just want to find out from you guys in the chat and from Devin if you guys believe it. But let me show you this post. And I believe it. So this is what Reggie had to say. He said, if Michael Jordan ever would have called me and tried to sway me to come to Chicago, I would have told him to go F himself. That's what Reggie Miller told ESPN. I 100% believe that, because basketball at that time it's entirely different than what we see now. Yes, there were super teams back then. I'm not saying that there weren't. But guys stayed where they were. There was I think there was more loyalty from the front office and the players if you were out there producing. And he is a pacer through and through. And there was that level of rivalry, a level of dislike for Michael Jordan. And that was all going to stay as long as they were playing basketball. So I 100% believe this. I don't think he would have even entertained. I think he would have hung up on Michael Jordan after he cussed. He would like, boy, you crazy. Bam. And he'd have hung up the phone. I 100% believe this. Not everyone on Twitter does. This first person said, and that's why you have 0 rings. And the response was not like it's all his fault, though. He is arguably the GOAT playoff resilience. And I agree with that. I think he was an amazing player at the time. And this other player kind of agrees with me. He thinks that this is just a difference in the way that we look at the game now. He says, point is, the NBA lacks this personal vendetta, trash talk feud fueled by rivalry and hate. Point is, NBA is soft as jello, but hey, got to stop with PC, shaking my head, that's 2003, whatever. But I agree that it's just a different league right now. I believe Reggie back then would have definitely said that. If Reggie, by some stretch of the imagination, like if they were both playing now, maybe it would be different. But Devin, what do you think? Do you think Reggie is telling the truth, or is this a total and complete lie? Would he have jumped on the first thing moving to go play with Michael Jordan?
You know, I'm inclined to believe him. And I know it's kind of annoying when people look back and they say that kind of, they're like, oh yeah, I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have done that. But I actually appreciate the sentiment, and I think that he is actually being honest about that.
I agree too. That's just it's a different time. Right now it's all about getting the ring and playing with whoever makes the call. You think you can get a ring? It's just a different time. So I agree with him. But let's go on to this next one, because I'm going to kind of talk you through this tweet, and then I want to have a conversation about this one too, because we have Sammy Reyes. He's never, ever, ever played football a day in his life. I'm going to post up this TikTok video. So here he is here. He just signed with the Washington football team. Again, he's never played football a day in his life. He played 2 seasons for Tulane college basketball, and then he went over and played for the Chilean national team, but he wanted to get into the NBA, but that didn't work because he couldn't make it. And so then his friends was like, hey, why don't you just play football, because he's so big. He's 6'6", 260 pounds. So at 24 years old, never playing a day in his life, he went and trained for 10 weeks at the International NFL Pathway Program. And then he did their pro day. They had like a pro day as well. And then in that, he ran a 4.65, and he benched whatever that weight is, 31 bench presses. And Washington offered him a contract shortly after that. So just like we talked about the other day, most guys in the NFL started playing at like the pee-wee level. They've been playing since they were 6 years old. And he's going into a tight end position with Washington. So I had to ask myself, do I think he'll be successful? It depends on how they do it. Obviously, he shouldn't set foot on an actual competitive playing field this season at all. I don't think that should happen. But I think if he sits under, gets the right coaching, his size alone, and he's clearly agile, if you can hoop a little bit. We know the same thing about LeBron James. He was actually supposed to play football. So he's clearly agile. He's athletic enough. He's tall. He's big. His stature alone, I would make him be okay in that position. So I think if they give him a year and don't make him play, and we see him next year, I think we're going to remember his name. So I just want everybody to remember his name right now. His name is Sammy Reyes. I think he's going to be a dope tight end if he gets to sit out this entire season, which I think he did. I'm sure they signed him to a practice squad, but this is Washington. I don't know. Who knows what'll happen over there. But I think we're going to end up knowing this kid's name. He's just too big for us not to. Devin, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a very interesting move on their.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what happened? My sound went out. Do you hear it? My sound went out.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
I accidentally muted myself.
I didn't know if it was me. I was like, did I touch something?
I did that. I don't know how that happened. Oops. What was I saying? Now I forget, but I think it's a bold move on their part, a bit of a risk. But I know I'll certainly be paying attention, seeing what happens with him. So, yeah, I don't know.
I think this can be one of those things that, we've seen stranger things happen. Well, not this strange, but we have seen, guys kind of walk into situations that work for them. And I just, again, based on his size and how quick he picked up, I saw there's another video on TikTok, and I saw him running some routes. He's got the mind for it. I think it could be good. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens. But let's move on to this next one, because this next one is funny to me. First of all, I've been to a few baseball games, but the thought of actually catching a baseball, it just seems like it'd be painful to me. So I've never tried to do it. But there's a good stretch of time between when a ball is hit and it makes it to the stands where you are. So my advice is, if you have a giant thing of nachos in your lap and you hear that crack, maybe move the nachos to the side, because otherwise this is what's going to happen. Take a look.
2-1 pitch. Turner hits a fly ball, left center field, way back, and gone! Oh, speaking of mustard and stuff. Splash? Oh, yeah. Money shot.
Why? Why were the nachos? You were clearly trying to catch the ball. Why were the nachos right there? And you know what the bad part is? Now, if we're going by the COVID rules, the lady next to you, who normally would have wipes, those little hand wipes and things that you can clean yourself off with, She don't have them now. So now you just gotta walk around the field with cheese on your shirt.
Covered in nacho cheese. That's how everybody wants to watch a game.
I don't understand why he didn't move the nachos, but that's all I got for for the post up. This next one, I'm just gonna give it to you. I'm just gonna give it to you because what I'm not gonna do is pretend like I can make an ounce of sense out of this one. It's gonna be a Lifetime. No, it can't be on Lifetime because Lifetime would make it horrible. Maybe Snapped. Maybe I don't know, but this one's crazy. So let me get into it. Let me show him to you first. This is Barney Dale Harris. Now, he is a 40-year-old Spanish teacher, basketball, track, and football coach at Union Academy Charter School in North Carolina. He is very beloved. He's got nothing but great accolades from his faculty members and his students, especially his student athletes. His coaching prowess seems to be really, really good. People love him there. So I'm using his name in the past tense because he is no longer with us. But how this happened is crazy. So he apparently he grabbed up a bunch of his friends and they decided to break into a trailer home in Mobile Green, North Carolina. That sounds just like some backwoods. Why a beloved teacher and coach would grab up some people to break into a trailer, you might ask? Because I did, and it was to steal drugs and money, but not just from anybody, from a cartel. So when he broke into this trailer, he was wearing, let me just tell you how prepared he was. He was wearing a bulletproof vest, mask, and gloves. So there's another victim. His name is Alonzo Beltran Lara, and he was transported to the hospital, but he actually passed away at the hospital. So what the FBI, so this is all new information to us, and all, a lot of the tweets that I saw on Twitter were like, oh, no way, he was such a good guy, he was such a nice guy, he's such a great coach. This isn't right, something's wrong, we don't know all the information, all the conspiracy theories start going out there. But apparently this is just new to people who know him and worked with him at the school, because the feds have apparently been on him for a long time because they say he's part of a criminal enterprise. So the guy of Alfonso Lara is the one who lived at the trailer, and he apparently left. And then the teacher, Harris, knew that he was gone, so they went in there and were going to ambush him when he came back. But the problem is Lara is a part of this new generation cartel. So I don't know what happened in that trailer, because obviously we weren't there. But again, the police said that Harris was a part of a criminal enterprise along with his brother-in-law, so Stephen Alexander Stewart Jr., and that he was also attempting to rob the house and take the cartel's drug money. So you can't come. They did kill Lara. They apparently shot him execution style. So they shot him in the head. But then police said they found 30 shell casings in the actual trailer. So it was all out, Wild West gunfight. There's a lot of gunfire. I don't know who else was there because only 2 people are pronounced dead, and that was Harris, who apparently orchestrated, because apparently the feds have had him under investigation for a long, long time because he has been trying to take over said cartel. The Spanish teacher, track and football and basketball coach has been trying to take over this cartel. It's crazy to me. But Harris was dead at the scene, and Lara, their person they went after, he was pronounced dead at the hospital. During the investigations, they found 1.2 kilograms of cocaine, 5 guns, and about $7,000. $7,000 is not enough for me to be going in there risking my life. I haven't watched a lot of I watch a lot of crime TV, but not enough crime TV. So I can't tell you what the street value is of 1.2 kilos is of cocaine. I don't know. None of this sounds like it's worth losing your life. But the really crazy thing about it is, so I went and I looked up his obituary because I just wanted to see, who's he survived by. He does have a family. Again, that was his brother-in-law that he was with in that home. But his obituary says, so his obituary says, quote, it says, information about the death of Bradley Dale Harris was released across social media on April 14th. Bradley Dale Harris' cause of death is still unknown. What you mean? No, it's not. We know what happened. And I don't know if that's just because they didn't want to put it out there until there's a further investigation. Like maybe he wasn't involved. But what we not going to do is be a beloved Spanish teacher, track coach, football coach, basketball coach, and then try to rob the cartel. I feel bad for all these students and, of course, his family. I would assume somebody in his family knew because obviously his brother-in-law was there. But these kids have got to be like perplexed and bewildered that one of their favorite teachers and coaches is now gone because he was involved in drug trafficking. Devin, any thoughts? I just don't know.
I mean, Jackie, I've been listening to you tell this story and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. It reminds me of Breaking Bad almost, where you just kind of get unknowingly involved. Or, I mean, I guess I don't remember if he unknowingly got involved in like the drug world or if he intentionally.
I think with him, I've only seen the very first episode of Breaking Bad. And I think it's because he got sick or somebody in the family got sick. And then he did it because he needed the money. And then he just got so big that he couldn't get out of it, I think. So maybe that's what happened here.
So it's like somebody who you would never expect getting involved in something so intense and risky. It's pretty wild. I mean, my heart goes out to his family. I think it's obviously a tragedy. It's devastating for them. But also, at what point do you ever think it's a good idea to go rob a cartel? I don't even want to be near a cartel. Anybody that works with a cartel, I'm terrified. So going in and I don't know, Jackie. I cannot make sense of this. I can't even really wrap my head around it. All I know is that it's pretty tragic for his students, his family, him. Yeah.
Like, you got to watch Power. Like, Power will let you know you don't mess with the car. Watch some of these movies before y'all do some of this stuff, because there's the firepower that the cartel has and government. I mean, stop. You can't go up against the cartel. And I might be something like you talked about, where it's just he ended up in this thing and then it just balled. I saw somebody in the chat say Good Girls. That's exactly like it, right? Good Girls. They got into this on accident, and the next thing you know, they're stuck. So I don't know. And I don't mean to laugh because death is always tragic, but I need this to become a movie because I need to see the backstory. I need to find out what happened in his life that said, hey, let me veer away from my straight lace good life where people and kids love me, and let me go put on this bulletproof vest and get this gun and go break into a cartel drug house. I need to know how he got there. So hopefully I'll be coming back to you and telling you guys when this Lifetime movie, or please don't be Lifetime, whatever, Oxygen special will be on, because we need to know.
Yes, I am very curious about this. What a sad story and a bizarre story, Jackie. That was a real what we not gonna do. Or actually, you know what? That reminds me of a WTF moment. Jackie's segment used to be called WTF, and now it's what we not gonna do, but that was for sure a WTF moment. You guys, before we wrap up, I want to remind you that Fan or Foe is happening tomorrow, so any comments that you leave on our video that are insightful, especially hurtful, if you guys are asking us questions, we will screenshot them and talk about them in our live show tomorrow. So make sure you are getting your best comments ready to go. And don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, everybody.